What is good, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of the Killstreaks Kickoffs Podcast with myself, Sam, Rubix. I am excited to be bringing you guys episode 2. What we do here, for anybody who did not see the first episode of the podcast, we talk about competitive Call of Duty, the CDL Call of Duty League, as well as college and NFL football. We go in segments here, we jump around, cover a little bit of everything, and get you guys all up to date on what's happening and then what I think's going to happen going forward, and then any takes or opinions I have on news and updates and all that good stuff related to Call of Duty and football. So I did want to mention that we are on Spotify now as well, and I will include a link in the description below. So if you prefer to consume your podcast through Spotify, if you prefer to listen while you're doing anything, then go on ahead and check it out. Check us out on Spotify. There is video and audio on there, so you can watch it or you can just listen. So I'm super excited that we're able to bring it to Spotify here. I can't figure out Apple Podcasts. I think you have to pay. I don't know exactly how it works. So we're just going to be on Spotify for now. Unless I can figure that out, I'll look into that at some point. But yes, we are on Spotify, like I said, and then all other socials. I didn't mention this in the last podcast, but they'll be linked in the description below as well. I'm basically lolrubix on literally every single platform as a rule of thumb. So if you want to look me up and you don't follow me on anything other than YouTube, go on ahead, give me a follow. I've got the logos down there below right here. YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. We're on there. Yeah, go on ahead and give me a follow there. And then before we jump into this, we'll just run down exactly what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to jump into the CDL Week 1 matches this past weekend. Had some great matches. Super excited that those are back and obviously got to watch some good matches there. And then we are going to jump into the College Football Conference Championship results. We had that this past weekend as well. And obviously the final bracket as a result of those conference championships. We'll review that and look at those matchups. CDL Week 2 predictions, because we've got Week 2 or Weekend 2 starting this upcoming week, and actually tomorrow as I'm recording this is when we'll jump into that. But I'll give you guys my predictions for that, and then we'll wrap it up with the NFL Week 14 results, and then another check-in on the divisions, playoff standings, all that good stuff relating to the NFL. So otherwise, let's roll that intro, and then we'll hop right into it. So let's go on ahead and get into the CDL Week 1 recap that we have here. I've got a breakdown of all the matches that we'll switch over to here. We're going to kick it off here. Rocker got it done. The first match, I think that's down here at the bottom. Rocker got it done the first match. And before we jump into these matches, I do want to say, day one, I got every single pick wrong in my match predictions. So I guess I don't know what the hell I'm talking about, but whatever. You know, it happens. It's the first week, so what can you do? You don't really know exactly what team's going to be the best. So I went 0 for 4 on this day. We did a little bit better the rest of the days. But first and foremost, we've got the LA Gorillas mate taking on the Minnesota Rocker, and they won, or the Rocker won 3-2 in this match. So it was a close one. It was a tight one. Rocker got heavily outslayed in this win, and I think I can go into the individual match here. But as you can see, we got a red carpet here from Rocker, and I'd say more so a green carpet here from LAG, but Rocker gets it done. Despite getting heavily outslayed, they got the job done there. LAG needs to straighten up their fundamentals. I think that's one thing that this tells me about this team specifically, is that if you're outslaying teams by this much, I mean, Skies and Lins both dropped 100 bombs in this series, and if that's going to be happening, but you're not going to be winning the series, then you got to reevaluate definitely what's going on with that roster. They looked a lot better in this than they did in Carolina, or the Carolina match. I think that was Saturday or Sunday. We'll get into that obviously later, but they did look decent in this. Obviously, they were slaying for sure, but weren't able to get it done. I will also mention that the Rocker playstyle, if this playstyle continues, not every time teams are going to outslay you this heavily and still let you win the match. So it's not super sustainable, but obviously if you're doing the fundamentals right, you're getting it done. That's great. You want to keep that. You want to keep that up. But yeah, I just think potentially could pose problems later on down the line, of course. But yeah, okay, so we'll jump into the OPTIC match now here. OPTIC goes down to the Boston Breach 3-2. I really did not expect this. OPTIC, I think, totally trolled this map set, their vetoes and picks and bans on this. I don't know why the hell they're playing red card hardpoint at least. They're pros, they know what they're doing, and they know more than I do. Maybe also they were just trying to like get some in-game reps on red card as well. I don't know, but they played 2 red cards to close out the series and lost both of those maps. So that'll do it. That will definitely do it. And I think they did troll this series in general. They kind of, let's go back to the total kills here. I think this is another, yeah, outslayed on the whole series again. Another outslayed team winning the series here. Looks like 3 of the OPTIC guys went positive, and only Cammy was positive for the Boston Breach. So again, I think this was kind of a troll by OPTIC Texas, but Boston Breach showing that they can at least compete online with teams of OPTIC's caliber. And I'll go on a little tangent here. I know Scrap said it in his interview, but I think the league is a lot more competitive this year, at least at the beginning of the year. A lot more teams are able to just kind of shoot back, I guess, on this game than in the past years, and I think the rosters are a little bit more, I don't know, evenly dispersed in terms of player talent and whatnot. Obviously, you've got your top 3 in like OPTIC FaZe and Thieves, but I think it's really only Thieves that are in a select tier above the rest. And then I really think as of right now, Vegas is the only team at the bottom, but they're not there by far. I mean, they've been playing close in their matches, so I think a lot more. We're gonna see a lot more upsets and a lot more teams like Boston Breach, who last year were definitely at the very bottom of the barrel, being able to compete with these top teams. And I think we saw it here, obviously, with Boston Breach winning at a 3-2 here against OPTIC. Super surprising there. Got that pick wrong, obviously. But moving on to Carolina versus the Vegas Falcons. And I know a lot of people were excited to see the Vegas Falcons. I just mentioned how they did. Obviously, we know they lost. They are 0-2. But I think, yeah, they didn't look terrible in terms of like scores. I mean, they're putting up points in hard points. The protocol was very close, 14-point loss there. Skyline looked like Carolina kind of knew what they were doing and had their way with them, obviously. And then Vegas was able to win an S&D on them. I don't think this speaks down to Vegas Falcons being like necessarily bad. I think Carolina actually looked really good in this. I did not expect them to look as cohesive and solid and as a unit as they did. I also did not expect Slasher to be frying like he did, or like he did this whole weekend. To be completely honest with you, I was not expecting that. I was not expecting this team to, obviously as a new roster, to look as solid as they did this weekend. And yeah, I think I don't want to like blame this or discredit Carolina by saying that Vegas Falcons is terrible, because I don't think they are. I think Carolina just looked really good this weekend. And I think we have to tip the cap to them in that situation. And then only other thing for the Falcons, I do want to say, Kicks. I think that's how people have been saying it. I think this is Khalid is what I called him last weekend, is his like name, but I think he goes by Kicks, and I think that's how we're supposed to say it. I don't know. But he was a silver lining for the Vegas Falcons. I think he looked really good this weekend. Had a good KD. I think I'll pull up a KD leaderboard overall after week 1. I think he's like top 5 in overall KD, so he's a silver lining for the Falcons, and probably someone that they're going to want to build around. Just an early prediction based off of the first 2 matches this week for them. Then we'll move on to another relative upset. I think Toronto has solidified themselves in the top 4, at least after this week. They beat Atlanta FaZe, and Atlanta FaZe is a solid roster that we believe is a top 3 roster. But they got it done. They're starting off the stage 2-0, as you can see here. Toronto Ultra looking really good, this roster as well, similar to Carolina. New squad, two-man change, obviously keeping Kleenex and Insight, but bringing in Beans and Joe Deceives. Two-man change, but the team looking really good together, looking like they're firing on all cylinders here. They obviously got slammed in that initial protocol, and I thought this was going to be a 3-0 phase, just skill diff. But they bounced back like heavily in the rest of the series, and they looked insane. FaZe couldn't lose a gunfight map 1, and then it looked like it couldn't win one for the rest of the 3. Joe and Kleenexes. I did want to mention their sub duo. They looked really solid. Obviously, Joe Deceives overall KD only dropped a point died and one, but I think the way that him and Kleenex were playing off of each other looked really good between the two. And I did want to note that I think the sub duo could work. I think Joe Deceives is he showed that he can compete on rosters in the recent years, and yeah, I think this Kleenex and Joe Deceives duo is going to work well with Joe Deceives' speed. Um, Joe is very fast. Kleenex has been very fast in recent years, but it kind of allows Kleenex to play a little bit slower or not play a little bit slower, but not have to feel the need to play that insanely fast all the time. And so, yeah, I think that that really elevates the sub duo here, and Toronto Ultra looking good, especially against FaZe. I mean, this is a huge win for morale for the Toronto Ultra there. So moving on to day two, we got it kicked off the Miami Heretics versus the Vegas Falcons to kick off day two here. Miami gonna come out with a 3-0 victory in this one, but again, I mean, look at the hard point scores. Vegas is shooting back in hard point, and that's I think the biggest plus for them as a brand new team, a brand new org, brand new players in the CDL. If they're shooting back in these hard points, I think that's a positive sign. They, again, lose by 14 points on the Skyline hard point. There's room for improvement, and I think that's what is important. Kicks, again, in this series for Vegas, 1.28, looks very solid. Another bright spot for them. And then Miami looks pretty solid in this series. I think Rancor actually fit in as as that fourth there really well. Yeah, just really solid showing by Miami, and I think they just kind of did what they needed to do and got the job done there. And then moving on, we had the Rocker versus the Boston Breach. Rocker actually beats the Breach to send them to 1-1, and Rocker goes 2-0 on the weekend. But once again here, they are a red carpet. Like I said in the first match that they played, they are not exactly getting the kills or the slaying power that they want from this roster, but they are still getting it done. And like I said, it's great that they're doing the fundamentals, but I don't think that is a super sustainable play style. Good teams, I think, or great teams at least, will punish you eventually for not being able to keep up in slaying power, and Boston Breach wasn't able to do it here, but this is a map 5 series that could have gone legitimately either way, and Rocker kind of just squeaked their way to the end there and got them in a situation where they could beat them. A very close vault hardpoint that they came out with a win on, 5-point win there, and then a 6-5 search and destroy win, map 5 round 11. Did want to highlight Boston has been looking insane at red card hardpoint here. So yeah, I mean they beat OPTIC on it in their first match, and then map 1 beat Minnesota Rocker on it. And yeah, I think they look really good on red card hardpoint. So we'll see if that even stays in the game after this upcoming week. But if it does, teams are probably going to be vetoing red card hardpoint against Boston Breach. And then just last off, Pollux did look good this series. He was kind of the only bright spot, KD wise or slaying wise on this team, and then they're gonna get it done, 3-2 in that fashion. Moving on to the Toronto versus Vancouver match here. Toronto wins 3-2 against Vancouver. Another map 5 round 11. We had a lot of great series, and I think that speaks to just all these teams being to compete with each other on a high level here. I think we're going to see a lot more map 5s, and obviously with more map 5s, you're going to see more round 11s. But we saw, I think, 3 or 4 in total this weekend, and yeah, just crazy showing from those games and from those map 5s. Here, Toronto Ultra gets it done against the Surge or Vancouver. Toronto's S&D is looking clean. They won both of the maps or both of the S&Ds on this series or in this series. That's definitely a huge plus with a team, especially going into week 1 or coming out of week 1. S&D looking great. That's great to kind of build on. And this is also a huge bounce back for Toronto Ultra after getting slammed on Protocol Hardpoint against FaZe. They bounced back and kind of slammed Vancouver this time around. And this is a huge match, I think, for Toronto Ultra to come out with the win on, even if it was only by a round in Search and Destroy. I think getting it done in S&D, specifically S&D, and then a hard point that you probably confidence wasn't at the highest it's ever been on that particular map. And then Vancouver, I think, still looked okay in the maps that they won. They won a control 3-1 and then kind of slammed Toronto in the hardpoint vault, or the vault hardpoint. Do need to see 0-4 and Abusa, just kind of stepping it up a little bit. But yeah, that's Toronto versus Vancouver, and then we'll move on to the last match of day 2, and we have LA Thieves versus Cloud9, and the Thieves beat Cloud9 3-1 in this match. I will preface the highlights of this match specifically with apparently Cloud9 has been having some ping issues. Obviously, Cloud9, I know this says Cloud9 New York. Cloud9 plays out of Los Angeles. They're one of the fewer teams that plays on that West Coast. Most teams play out of Texas, so a lot of their matches are playing one team from Los Angeles and one team from Texas or Dallas area, at least online, of course. And so apparently they've been having issues with pinging to the neutral servers between the two teams. I think there's been, I don't know exactly the specifics. I think the league's been making them play on like Denver, but for some reason they're pinging 60 each to Denver. I would take Cloud9's performance this weekend with a little bit of a grain of salt. Obviously, no excuses. Not trying to make excuses for a roster, but when you're just getting heavily ping diffed like you are, there's not much that you can take exactly from like a roster. What we can take though is that LA Thieves, despite Cloud9 struggling to shoot back, I think they did look very good, regardless of if Cloud9 was struggling with ping issues. They are looking gross. They're looking gross in hardpoint. Beat them by like 120 some points on the red card, and then 100-point clumped them on the rewind hard point. So their hard point is just looking absolutely nasty. It is clear that Cloud9 is outclassed in those respawns specifically. They did take a search and destroy in around 11, but yeah, I don't know. There's not a whole lot to say. Yeah, that's day 2. And then I do want to mention I went 3 for 4 on picks. So I got, what did I get wrong? I got Vancouver wrong. I had them beating Toronto Ultra. So if they won that round 11 map 5, I would have been correct. Moving on to day 3, the final day of the weekend, we had LAG versus Carolina Royal Ravens. They're gonna fall 3-1 to Carolina in this match here. Slasher again, just absolutely frying, drops himself a 1.2 on the series. So again, super surprised about that. And the Teaching Win looked great in the S&D. Yeah, they won that one 6-2. Yeah, just overall, I'm really impressed. I did not expect this Carolina roster to look the way it did this weekend, but super impressed on how they're looking, and like I said earlier, how cohesive and solid they've looked as a new roster. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not completely out on LAG. I think they just need to clean up some issues fundamentally, and I think they'll be okay. And then we'll move on to the Miami Heretics versus Vancouver. This time I got Vancouver winning correct. They beat Miami 3-2 in this match. Another Map 5 Round 11 series here. So could have gone either way again, but Vancouver get it done this time. 0-4 definitely looked better today, and Respawn, he dropped a 1.11 on the series. So that was good to see for sure. And then, as you can see there, the Miami sub-duo did play a lot better, Real and Rancor. Real dropped 100 bomb on the series kills. Like I said, I don't want to exactly nitpick players' performances individually in Map 5 Round 11s, but I do want to bring up Lucky looked just awful in this hard point. He could not shoot back in the Map 4 Protocol HP. He went 10 and 30. That's not what you want to see there. So obviously, it's only week 1 there, and it's not like grounds for, oh, you had a really bad map week 1 of an online stage. We're gonna drop you right here, right now. I don't think it's like that. Yeah, obviously want to clean that up, and ended up dropping a 0.65 on the entire series. So just not a great showing from Lucky. So Vancouver will pull out with the win in this match, and then moving on to OPTIC versus Cloud9, they are going to win 3-0 here in this match. More ping issues from what I'm understanding from Cloud9. I guess they weren't even planning on playing this match. I guess they weren't even playing until about like 5 minutes before the match. They decided that they'd just play it, whatever. I don't know. Like I said, there's not a whole lot that you can criticize with Cloud9 when they're dealing with those ping issues and ping differences. But what we can talk about is how OPTIC looked. They looked incredible in this match. I think they were just firing on all cylinders, and yeah, I think they looked great in this series. Shotzzy is looking absolutely disgusting. drops himself a 1.87 on the series. I really think this game is made for him. I think this game just totally and completely caters to his playstyle. We'll look here at the top KDs of the qualifiers. As you see there, Shotzi overall KD in first place right now, a 1.43 across the first two series. And then, like I mentioned, Kicks there in that 4 spot. Real and Gwyn looking good. And then Hydra just doing his thing, like perfect fit for that Thieves roster, of course. And yeah. But yeah, OPTIC gets it done 3-0 and moves to 1-1 after the Boston Breach upset. Okay, and then moving on to the final match of the weekend, the LA Thieves get it done against Atlanta FaZe 3-2. FaZe almost pull off a reverse sweep. Thieves took the first 2 maps and slammed them in that hard point, 100-point club on Vault. FaZe squeaks out two wins in the in map 3 and 4. They actually reverse sweep round wise the LA Thieves on the Vault control, and then squeak out a hardpoint win by 6 there on the Rewind HP to bring it to a map 5, but LA Thieves ices up and gets it done round 10 in that search and destroy. Both S&Ds were close, but LA Thieves took them both. So, but yeah, I think Thieves deserve this win. Looking at the KDs, obviously, I mean, you have Envoy, Ghosty, and Hydra going positive there. Props to FaZe for bringing it back. But like I said, I think Thieves are just going to be the team to beat in this stage at least. Interesting that FaZe is actually 0-2. Obviously had 2 pretty tough or weekend 1 matchups against Thieves and Toronto Ultra. The Toronto Ultra team that we probably didn't think was going to beat them initially. So a little bit surprising there. Would not have expected that initially on, but I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be able to bounce back. And then just kind of wanted to talk about the overall week 1 takeaways that I have here. We'll look at the standings. Overall, like I mentioned earlier, I think the skill gap is not huge at this point in time, at least early on in the game. I think any of the teams could really beat any of the teams, even Falcons. I mean, I know I said that they're kind of at that bottom tier below everybody, but I'm still not completely out on them based off of what I've seen, and I think they could steal some maps. I don't think they're like yeah, I don't think that they're going to be the worst team that we've ever seen. And then, yeah, I really just think it's kind of Thieves above everybody else. But like we saw today, I mean, FaZe took them to a map 5, almost reverse sweep them. So, I mean, they're above everybody else, but I don't think they're untouchable in this game quite yet. Yeah, I think, and then the only other thing, like I did want to mention, Cloud9 needs to get those servers figured out if they want to win any online matches. I know they've talked about potentially relocating if that has to happen. So but we'll see what happens there, and I hope for the best for Cloud9 because I do think they are a competitive roster as well. Now, as of yesterday, not related to the Week 1 qualifiers, we have OPTIC HUKE. HUKE is now in for Pred, and this was huge news. Yesterday on the timeline, everybody was shocked with this move when the news broke or when stuff started leaking. Apparently, Pred is having personal issues, and some stuff hit the timeline last night as well. I'm not going to exactly go into depth about what these reasons are for Pred's personal issues. You can do research if you will, if you're concerned about it. But just in case, like things, we don't know all the details, and I don't know how things are going to age, years on down the line for this time period. So I'm not going to discuss exactly what that is. But Pred is having personal issues right now, and so HUKE's going to step in. I think that HUKE is the best possible pickup in this situation. Right now. I think he's the best free agent in the game right now. I think a lot of people would agree on that, the way he's been frying in challengers and 8s and all that good stuff. I think he's the best player in the game that was not on a roster currently, as well as he has experience teaming with the other 3 on this roster. He teams with Kenny in Cold War and I think a little bit of BO3, I believe. And then he's obviously got plenty of experience with Shotzi. Those 2 kind of came up together. Zio. You know how that is. They teamed in MW2. No, they didn't team in Vanguard, but they teamed in Cold War, 2019, Modern Warfare 2019, BO4, all those games. They've got experience teaming together. So, and then obviously teams with Dashi in MW2 as well. Yeah, and then I also just think BO6 perfectly fits Kyler's playstyle. It's fast-paced. He's very fast-paced. It's got omni movement, that's sliding around, all that good stuff. So I just think Kyler is going to fry in this game as he's been showing he has. Another thing that I did want to highlight for this, I saw someone talking about this on Twitter, but it takes HUKE off the board from any other teams at the moment that were like potentially considering picking him up. I don't know if HUKE would have gone to like a bottom team. I don't know if that was something that he was okay doing or if he was kind of waiting just because his stock was so high. I don't know exactly what his mindset was, but this takes the HUKE off the board for any of those other teams that he was going to potentially sign with. So I think that is super underrated, but definitely a huge boost for this pickup. And then this is also great for HUKE. After frying in challengers, being able to join a top 3 team and show why you still belong in the league is such a great opportunity, even if it isn't like for like permanent. I don't know when Pred will be back or if he will be back, but either way, I think if HUKE plays the rest of the season on OPTIC, great for him. If this is only a one event thing, that's still really great for him. Just showing that he can still slam. Obviously, he's got to go out there and do it, but I think he can very easily, and this is just huge for HUKE. And I love HUKE. I think he's a great dude, and glad to see him get this chance, obviously. And then, of course, hope everything is okay with Pred. Hope the best for Pred, and best of luck for HUKE, man. I think this is a great opportunity for him. But that's going to do it for our CDL recap. I know this was a little bit longer. We spent a lot of time on it, and we'll work on getting this time down a little bit, but had a lot of matches to cover, and a lot of news as well. So that's going to wrap it up for the CDL recap, but we'll go on ahead and jump into the college football recap and predictions. All right, so we've got our conference championship results in for college football here. Happened this past weekend, had some good games, great showings from some teams and not so great showings from other teams. But to get it kicked off, the Mountain West, Boise State gets it done against UNLV. Not a whole lot to talk about there. I think Boise State is just the better team, quite frankly, than UNLV. So they're going to get themselves that first round bye with the conference championship. And then obviously, I mean, you had another Ashton Jeanty 200 bomb. Like, what's new? Boise State gets it done there for the Mountain West Championship. And then Big Ten, Oregon beats Penn State 45-37. And Oregon offense obviously puts up 45 points. They are looking elite. No surprise there. I was surprised with the Penn State offense actually being able to kind of keep up with that in the first place. I kind of expected Oregon to blow out Penn State, if I'm being completely honest with you, but that was not the case. It was more so of a shootout, with both teams still being relatively in the game until the end. And Penn State was, yeah, like I said, able to keep up offensively with Oregon. So, yeah, props to Penn State, and I think they show that they do belong, and they can definitely fight in those big games. Their rushing attack looked phenomenal. I think they had 2 100-yard rushers in that game, and yeah, so props to Penn State for keeping it close there, but Oregon ultimately going to get it done for the Big Ten champions, so congrats to Oregon there. ACC, Clemson beats SMU, more so of an upset. I was surprised about this game, but SMU just really looked flat for the majority of the game, and they weren't able to get it done or get things rolling until it was, obviously too late. They did tie it up, but gave Clemson a chance to go and kick a field goal and win that game, and so Clemson's going to get their way into the college football playoff despite losing that last week or the week before. They will get in with a conference champion auto bid at the 12 seed right now. SEC, Georgia beats Texas 22-19, and I thought this was quite frankly a pretty poor showing from both of these teams here. Georgia and Texas both included. I was not like super impressed with either of their play. I'm kind of out, to be honest, on Texas being a legitimate contender for making a national championship run. I wanted to highlight their final drive and their overtime game plan was just hawk up jump balls from like the 15-yard line to their receivers going right, left, over and over again until they run out of the downs. And just hoping for a PI or one to get caught. Like, I think that was a terrible game plan. I think they looked terrible at the end of the game with chances to put the nail in the coffin. And I wasn't impressed by Georgia either. I think their offense didn't look phenomenal. I think Texas did kind of troll this game. I think it was like they were getting offensively outgained like 250-50 or something at the half. But yeah, and then last one, we've got the Big 12. Arizona State just smokes Iowa State. I didn't think it would be this much of a blowout personally. I think I actually picked Iowa State last week if I remember correctly. But yeah, Arizona State comes in and gets it done. Cam Scatabo looked nasty. I think 16 carries for 170 yards. He was looking insane. Arizona State is one I could legitimately actually see going to or making it to the Final Four with their path at least. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, they got that first round bye, and then we'll see what happens after that. But wouldn't be shocked if we saw Arizona State get a little bit of a run going. So that being said, let's take a look at the actual college football playoff bracket here. And actually, I'll just talk about the the bracket itself here a little bit and what my thoughts are on it. First and foremost, I think Oregon gets punished the most by being the #1 team in the country, which I think is a little stupid. Personally, I think for winning the or for winning the Big Ten championship and remaining #1 in the country, you have to play Tennessee or Ohio State, two very good football teams. I think that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it's like, should they just have lost the Big Ten championship to get that 5 seed or whatnot? So I don't know, and I think Penn State is rewarded the most for for losing that Big Ten championship. I mean, they are potentially about to have to play SMU and then Boise State, two teams who I think they are better than personally. So they've got the easiest route now, in my opinion, and yeah, I just don't agree with the fact that the winner of a conference championship game is getting effectively punished and the loser is getting rewarded now in that situation. So sucks for Oregon, but it is what it is. I think a fix that Joel Klatt has mentioned is it should be like NFL playoffs where um, the seeding is readjusted, where the highest seed remaining plays the lowest seed remaining at the end of each round. And I think that would fix a lot of stuff here. Like if Clemson were to beat Texas for whatever reason, okay, then Oregon plays them now. I think that makes the most sense. It's not what it is this year, and we're just on a kind of a linear path, playoffs wise and bracket wise. So that is what it is, and sucks for Oregon there. But let's jump into the matches specifically. Round one, we've got Clemson at Texas. Texas is going to be hosting Clemson for their round one game. I think Texas wins this, but this would be my pick for the most likely upset if I had to pick one. Clemson on a roll, obviously winning a conference championship that people probably didn't expect them to win, to be quite frank. I think they have a bit of momentum. So if they capitalize on SMU kind of trolling. Texas trolled in the the SEC championship last week. I don't know. How are they going to be able to capitalize on Texas this week? I think Texas should be angry after losing. And if they do their job, they are the better team, personally. And then Texas at home is also going to be a tough environment for Clemson to go into and go in there and win. So I'm gonna say Texas wins this, but if I had to pick an upset, I would go Clemson here for this one out of all the matches. And then we've next up got Tennessee versus Ohio State. This is a night game on Saturday. And Tennessee is going to Ohio State. I'm going to go Ohio State, as you can see, the hoodie here. We know I am a big Ohio State fan, I'm sure by now. I think Ohio State is better than Tennessee as a team in general. The question is, will they beat themselves? I don't know. That's where the big question is with Ohio State. More so, are the teams that they are playing better than them? And then we've got 11 SMU versus number 6 seed Penn State. I'm picking Penn State here. Okay, sorry about that. My wireless headset just disconnected because I wasn't hearing any audio there for a few minutes. But we are back talking about Penn State. Like I said, this was my pick for an upset initially, but after seeing Penn State play in the Big Ten Championship, I think they have what it takes to beat these teams, and I think Penn State's on another level over SMU. I also think Beaver Stadium will be rocking. I think Beaver Stadium will be. I think that place is going to be rocking. I think Penn State fans are excited about this season. And yeah, that place is going to be just insane. I don't think SMU is going to be able to move the ball. And if the Penn State offense plays like they did Saturday, they will be hard to stop as well. So I'm going Penn State here. Last off of the first rounds, we've got number 10 Indiana versus number 7 Notre Dame. I'm going to go Notre Dame here. Like I said last week, Notre Dame has been looking pretty good since that NIU loss. And then Indiana, I mean, I don't want to discredit their season. I think they had an amazing season, but just looking objectively at it, they haven't played anyone super big except for Ohio State, and they did get smoked in that game. I just haven't seen anything necessarily that tells me Indiana can win a big game like this against number 7 Notre Dame. I don't know. Maybe they will. Maybe they'll come out. Both of them are in Indiana, both of these teams, so I can see IU fans traveling. I think it's about like a 3-hour drive or so to Notre Dame, so I don't know if home field advantage will be as huge a deal in this one either. So we'll see what happens there. But that's what we're looking at for the round 1 playoffs. Super excited for those to kick off the first ever 12-team college football playoff, as I'm sure many people are. Only other thing wanted to talk about with college football here is just kind of Heisman, a little bit of Heisman talk, and I know everybody has their opinions on it and whatnot, but we've got the nominees for this. It's going to be Travis Hunter, Ashton Jeanty, Cam Ward, and Dylan Gabriel as the 4 finalists. Just want to run through statistically what each of these players is looking like here. Travis Hunter sits at about 1,156 receiving yards on the season. That ranks 6th in college football. He's got 14 receiving touchdowns. That is 2nd in college football. So very good wide receiver. And then he's got, I get that DB or defensive back stats aren't like a very solid grounds for rating players' performances. If you're an elite corner, they just don't throw at you and you don't get statistics. So I get that. But do obviously want to mention he's got four interceptions on the season, 22 tackles. So I get he is also a very good corner. Moving on to Jeanty, he is at 2,497 rush yards. That is obviously 1st in college football, and that is 4th all-time for single-season rushing yards. Pretty historical season from Jeanty. It has been done before, though, so do want to say that a lot of people kind of have a misconception that nobody's ever rushed for this much ever. It has happened. He is the 4th highest, so still very, very high up there. And then 29 touchdowns on the season, rush touchdowns. That's tied for 1st in college football as well right now. We got Cam Ward. He's got 4,123 pass yards. That is 2nd in college football. 36 touchdowns, passing touchdowns. That is 1st in college football, and 7 interceptions. And then last off, Dylan Gabriel's got 3,558 pass yards on the year. That sits at 8th in college football. 28 passing touchdowns. That's at 8th in college football, and then 6 interceptions. So I think it's pretty safe to say Dylan Gabriel is not winning it this year. For that, obviously, he is on the number 1 team in the country, and I think that's why he's here, but I don't think he will win. Cam Ward, I think, is the best quarterback this year overall. He's had a great showing this year at the quarterback position, but I think he's just in the presence of 2 extremely historical seasons here with Travis Hunter and Ashton Jeanty, so we're ruling him out of this. I think Travis Hunter will win this award. Based off of Vegas odds, I don't know the last time those things were wrong. I'd like to see a statistic on that when Vegas odds were wrong about who actually wins the Heisman, but I think personally that Jeanty should win. I think, like I said, it's not like this season or this amount of rush yards hasn't been done before, but it is a generational season for sure. Nonetheless, at a single position, you really only see that once every 10 to 15 years or so, and so I think that should be noticed. Also, he's single-handedly leading his team to their first college football playoff, a conference championship, and a first-round bye. Like that is also definitely something that I think is overlooked here in this situation. I do think Hunter definitely deserves it, and I'm not saying that he doesn't. It's unfortunate that both of these happen to play in the same year that we have here, but I personally value being the absolute best at one position. Not just in this year, but in many years. And in recent history, we haven't seen this type of season from a running back in a while. Yeah, that's what I value. I don't really know where this narrative or idea kind of started that, like, if a player just plays both ways, they are a generational athlete. I think Travis Hunter is an amazing elite athlete, and he's very good at both positions he plays, but I don't think he is the best at either of them that he plays in college football right now. He's an elite football player, like I said, so of course he's going to be good at the skill positions that he plays. That's just how it works. He is a D1 elite football player. I'd say playing both of those positions more so a testament to his endurance, quite frankly, to be able to be elite at both of those positions. I don't think endurance, though, is grounds for a Heisman Trophy. I think it's an extreme testament, and shit, if we could create an award just for him, I would. I think that is completely warranted, like, plays both ways and excels at both of them award. Call it the Travis Hunter Award, I don't care. It's not what the Heisman Trophy is, though, in my opinion, personally. I think if he focused on one or the other of those 2 positions that he played, he probably could be the best at one of those positions, and maybe, in my opinion, make more of a case for the Heisman Trophy. Realistically, that's not what he's doing, and to be quite frank, I think NFL teams are probably going to make him do that when he does get to the league. I don't see NFL teams allowing him to take all those reps and play at both positions. But to wrap up all my thoughts on the Heisman Trophy here, I think at the end of the day, the reward is completely political. It's totally politics. The general public, from what I've seen, all believes that it should be Jeanty. But for some reason, the select 50 or whatever people that are in charge of voting for the Heisman, they think it would be cooler if Hunter wins, so he's going to win. That's just all it comes down to. I don't know if it's ratings. I don't know. Whatever the hell it is that that makes this committee vote that way. I think they're going to vote for Hunter, and that's probably who's going to win the Heisman. But I could be wrong. I don't know. We'll check in after for next episode after the voting has been finalized and we know who won the Heisman Trophy. But yeah, those are my thoughts on college football. We'll wrap up this segment here. I'm super excited for those for the first round of the playoffs coming up in 2 weeks. So we'll see what happens. Now, I do want to jump back into CDL. Looking forward towards this next weekend starting tomorrow. Like I said, as I am recording this here, matches are back on Friday, December 13th. So let's take a look here at what we've got for this upcoming slate this weekend of online matches, week 2. Getting it kicked off here with LAG Mate going up against LA Thieves, the Battle of Los Angeles here. I expect the Thieves to beat most teams they play right now, and so yeah, I'm going Thieves here. Like I was talking about as well, I think LAG needs to kind of clean up some things fundamentally, and it'll be tough to kind of start that learning process against LA Thieves, the best team in the league in my opinion right now. So I'm gonna go LA Thieves for this match. Cloud9 here. Again, this is such a question mark with server issues. If they're having issues, I think they are going to lose. If they are fine and ready to go, I do think they're better than Minnesota Rocket right now. So I think they get a bounce back win if they've got everything fixed. But like I said, I highly doubt that they are going to pick up and move to Texas by tomorrow. But I don't know. So we'll see there. We've got Miami Heretics versus the Boston Breach here. I'm going to go with Boston. I didn't pick them last week, and I'm going to learn my lesson here. They looked a lot better than what I thought they would have at this point. And then they've got the better win than Miami at this point as well. They played Rocker close, and then they obviously beat OPTIC, a really good OPTIC team. And so they've got the better win, so I'm going to go with Boston in this match. And then to wrap up the day, we've got OPTIC Texas versus the Vancouver Surge here. I'm going to go with this OPTIC team. When I made my notes, I obviously didn't know about the Pred for HUKE for Pred change, but I think they still win this game. I think there's going to be kind of almost like a honeymoon phase when it comes to putting Kyler in this roster. I think they're just going to be flying around it, at least for this online stage, and we'll see what happens at LAN, but at least for this online stage, I think they're going to be pretty hard to beat just with the way that they're running around and that Shotzi and HUKE duo. We'll see what happens there. And then also, I don't think Vancouver completely has everything together at this moment, at least together enough to beat an OPTIC team of this caliber currently. So I'm going to go OPTIC for this one. Moving on to day 2, we've got the Vegas Falcons versus the Toronto Ultra. I'm going to go Toronto here. Toronto just looked great week 1, and Falcons haven't quite given me anything yet to make me believe that they're going to be able to beat teams like Toronto, at least yet, in the league. So I'm going to go Toronto for day 2, match 1. And then OPTIC here again, they are going against the LAG Mate squad. I'm going to pick OPTIC here. Unless LAG really polishes up those mistakes that they were making in week 1, I think they pick up a loss here to OPTIC on Saturday. We've got Carolina versus Atlanta FaZe. Carolina is looking great, but I think FaZe is angry after these 2 losses. They did not expect to come out into this first week, or come out after the first weekend being 0-2. And I don't see them going 0-3 personally, so I'm gonna go FaZe here. I think they're angry, like I said, and they're gonna come out with a vengeance here against Carolina. I think FaZe takes up this match. And then to wrap up Saturday, we've got Boston Breach versus Vancouver here. Vancouver is my sleeper team this year, so I am gonna pick Vancouver. I'm trusting in that assessment. Both of these teams went into the week 1-1, and then I think both of them will leave it 2-2 personally. So I'm gonna go Vancouver here for this last match of day 2. And then moving on to day 3, we've got Toronto kicking it off again here against Miami Heretics. I'm gonna go to Toronto here again. I think they start this stage off 4-0. To be quite honest, I think there's too many concerns with the Miami ARs right now, and then Toronto's just been looking so good week 1 to especially. I don't think they'll drop to Miami here on this day 3 matchup. We've got FaZe versus Vegas. I don't think there's a surprise here. I'm gonna go FaZe in this game. I don't think that Vegas has shown that they can compete yet with teams like FaZe or of FaZe's caliber. And like I said, FaZe is angry. I think they improved to 2-2. And then we've got Carolina versus Cloud9. Regardless of ping, I think Carolina still wins this. I think Cloud9's a little bit checked right now. And yeah, I think Slasher and Gwen have been frying in Respawn. Teej has been frying in Search. I think Cloud9 is going to be checked, like I said. Even if they are able to fix their ping, I don't see them beating Carolina right now, to be quite honest. So yeah, I'm going to go Carolina for this day 3 matchup. And then to wrap up day 3, we've got the Minnesota Rocker versus the LA Thieves. I'm going to go Thieves here. Like I said, I think they should just win all of these matches. And like I was saying, Rocker's slang level can't really keep up right now, at least what they've shown us. And so I said that if they go up against those top teams, they're going to be outslayed and outplayed. So I think LAT is one of those teams, and the level of LA Thieves play is just going to be too high for Rocker to keep up with fundamentally. And so yeah, I think Thieves take this to improve to 4-0 on the first stage. So that's all I've got for the CDL predictions that we've got coming up. I'm super excited for week 2 of matches here, and we'll see how my predictions hold up here and talk about those next week. But yeah, all right. Now, so we will jump into the NFL recap and kind of a look at the playoff picture as well. We're just going to kind of cover some of the playoff teams. Not going to cover Jags, Titans, obviously. Nobody cares about that game, but we do want to touch on the teams that are here in the playoffs. We talked about the Packers versus the Lions last week, so not going to discuss that any further except for when we talk about their division. But looking at their division, we've got the Vikings taking it 42-21 over the Falcons. This is a big loss for the Falcons, but also a big win for the Vikings to kind of keep up pace with the Lions right now, if they're still trying to win that division. So Sam Darnold just played amazing in that game, 5 touchdowns, and then Jettis and Jordan Addison looked like Shaq and Kobe out there. Nothing else to say. The Eagles are going to squeak by the Panthers here. Didn't expect the Eagles to look this bad or against the Panthers, but they get it done, 22-16 in this game. They'll move to 11-2. They do need to kind of figure out that pass game a little bit more if they want to be elite and make a strong Super Bowl or at least playoff run. They got to get that figured out. So yeah, they win against the Panthers though. They'll improve to 11-2. The Steelers beat the Browns 27-14. I wasn't surprised here. I know the Browns beat them. What was that, like 2 weeks ago now? But Steelers get it done in this game, and they'll move to 10-3 for this. This is a big win during the Ravens bye week. The Ravens did not play, so you now go ahead 2 games over the Ravens. So huge for the Steelers there. The Buccaneers beat the Raiders 28-13. They move to 7-6. Big for them in that division race where it's still tight. And then we've got the Seahawks beating the Cardinals. Did not really expect this. I know I said last week that the Cardinals, I kind of picked them for pulling away with this division. Obviously, this is a really rough loss for them right now. The Seahawks were 7-5. They improved to 8-5 here, and they're kind of starting at least to pull away with it. So, yeah, big win for the Seahawks and a really tough one for the Cardinals to fall in that game. Then we had a kind of a classic here with the Rams versus the Bills here. Rams are going to pull out this game 44-42. They'll improve to 7-6, and the Bills will fall to 10-3. Josh Allen got absolutely costed in this game. Passed for 3, ran for 3, 6 total touchdowns, but HUKE Nakua had himself a legacy game, and yeah, the Bills offense or the Bills defense couldn't hang on for the Bills offense, and yeah, just Rams went in there and got it done, 44-42. So congrats to the Rams. That's a big one as well, being in that NFC West division. And like I said, we'll talk about those divisions later on as well. 49ers here beat the Bears 38-16. Did want to mention that just because their division is so tight, but they'll improve to 6-7. They're now tied with the Cardinals record-wise in that division. So big win for the 49ers to kind of bounce back if they do want to make a run going forward. And last off, the Chiefs beat the Chargers 19-17. I don't understand how they keep doing it, but they're going to move to 12-1 and clinch their division. So yeah, I just don't get it. I don't know how they keep doing it. 10 of their 12 wins decided by 1 score or less. And yeah, I mean that's crazy. It's crazy. It's insane that they just keep pulling out these close wins, but they're getting it done, and that's all that really matters. So yeah, the Chiefs aren't going anywhere, but the Chargers do go to 8-5, and they're going to pretty much look to the wild card now that the Chiefs have clinched that division. So that's week 14 recap. Let's let's take a peek here at the standings, though, of each division. And some of these didn't change this week, so we'll kind of gloss over those if needed. First off, we've got the AFC East. Obviously, the Bills took an L this week, but they still remain at the top of there. They have clinched that division. The AFC North. This is like I said, a huge win for the Steelers to extend their lead on the Ravens in the division during their bye week. So they're at the top by 2 games right now. AFC South, no change. Texans and Colts had a bye week, and the Jaguars and Titans just battled it out and evened out their records at both 3-10. So, yeah, nothing there. The AFC West, like I said, the Chiefs clinched the division at 12-1. Broncos and Chargers just kind of need to keep it rolling forward right now. Both sit at 8-5, and they just need to do what they need to do to secure a wild card spot. So we'll see if both of those teams are able to do that. I don't know, but they will no longer be the division champs or have a chance to be the division champs of the AFC West. Flip over to the NFC. The Eagles clinch a playoff berth here. They are 11-2 at the top of the division. They have not clinched the division yet. I still think they will, but we'll see. They sit at the top right now at 11-2. NFC North, the Detroit Lions still have not clinched the division, but they did clinch playoffs this past week when they beat the Packers. So Lions are in the playoffs, but not yet wrapped up that 1 seed by any means, with the Vikings close behind them by 1 game. So, yeah, we'll see. The 2 of those teams play the final week of the year on January 5th. So that will be potentially a very big game. I don't know if they'll still be 1 game apart, but yeah, we'll see what happens there when the Lions and Vikings play. Definitely going to be an exciting game for sure right now. And then we move to the NFC South here. Like I said it last week, the Bucs are going to jump the Falcons, and they did. They are at the top of the division now. I kind of figured that they were the best team in this division. We'll see if that actually stays true and if they keep it rolling and kind of pull away from these teams. But the Bucs are in the lead right now. It's also important to note that the Saints are actually not completely out of this division. This division is so mid that the Saints could potentially still win this division at, like, I don't know, 9-8 or maybe even 8-9. I don't know, but yeah, they're not out yet. That's interesting to mention, but yeah. And then last off in the NFC West, another division of mid, the Seahawks kind of pulling away with a win over the Cardinals this week, and then the Rams. That was a big win for the Rams against the Bills. A little bit underrated, but I think at this point, any team in this division could whoever finishes the strongest could win the division. I don't think the Seahawks have wrapped it up completely yet. I think whoever of these 4 teams get it rolling and get it going to end the season are going to be the ones who win the division. So we'll see what happens there with the NFC West. And I do want to check in on the playoffs, what those are looking like right now. The Chiefs have clinched, and then I guess did I mention that the Bills have clinched? Or yeah, I think we knew that already, right? Did I already talk about that? Where the hell is it? Yes, okay. I already mentioned that the Bills clinched, but they're gonna be the 1 and 2 seeds right now. And then because they've clinched their division, and then we've got the Steelers there sliding into that 3 spot. They have a chance to move, actually, with the Bills losing. They have a chance to move into that 2 slot now that they're tied with the Buffalo Bills record-wise. So I don't know what the tiebreaker will be, to be honest. I don't know. Okay, it says here, the Bills, if they have the same record, they're going to win the tiebreaker over Pittsburgh based off of strength and victory. Okay, so Steelers will need to jump a game ahead of the Bills if they want that 2 spot, but they definitely have a chance to do so now. Other than that, I don't see a lot changing other than the order of 5 through 7 seeds there with the Ravens, Chargers, and Broncos, depending on who gets it done. If I had to pick one team to turn it around and take one of those spots, like maybe the Broncos or the Chargers or the Ravens spot, I'd pick the Dolphins if I had to pick one. But I don't know if that'll even happen. So that is what it is with the AFC. And then the NFC here. Let's scroll down. Check out the NFC standings here. Like we said, the Detroit Lions are at the top. The Eagles are at the 2 seed, but neither of those teams have clinched a division yet. So who knows what will happen there. I think that they still will, if I had to guess. But yeah, and then we saw the Bucs take the 4 seed slot now there with leading their division. So they'll be in that 4 slot. Packers and Vikings, I think, will for sure be in that 5 and 6 spot. If I'm making predictions for that, I think the 7 spot is a little bit more up for grabs. The Rams move up to only a game back now, so they've kind of got a chance to make their way into that 7 spot. And we'll see if that happens. I don't know if it will or not, but I think they definitely could, depending on how the Commanders do, coming off their bye week going forward. So, yeah, that's kind of how the playoff picture is looking right now after week 14, and we'll just see. We'll just see whatever happens here going forward. So that's that's all I wanted to touch on for NFL. And then to wrap everything up here, that's really all I've got for you guys, to be completely honest. I think I touched on everything I wanted to touch on. It might have been a little bit longer with reviewing the CDL matches. I know that kind of took a little while. So we're going to try and do that a little bit faster next time for sure. Yeah, we've got an exciting week of CDL matches for weekend 2 coming up here. So excited to talk about those nonetheless, no matter how long it takes. We will have a week off from college football this week, except for obviously Army-Navy. So we won't have a whole lot to talk about next week. But maybe I will just let CDL take up most of that time, but I don't know. I didn't switch up the order of recording for this episode. I might do it for the next episode. I think it may just flow a little bit easier if I split it up, and then you guys who are watching and listening can just skip straight through and don't have to keep jumping around. I think that'll just be easier if you do want to skip through. And then, I mean, for the people that enjoy both topics, like, it doesn't really matter either way. You're listening to the whole thing. So, yeah, I think I'm just going to split it up now going forward after this episode into 2 separate segments. Doing the 2 CDL segments and then the 2 college football and NFL segments back to back going forward. But hope you enjoyed this one, at least this order, and can put up with jumping around if you need to, but whatever. But yeah, if you have any more recommendations or suggestions for topics you'd like me to hear me cover or other formatting for the episode, let me know in the comments. I really appreciate all feedback, whatever that may be. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, we are on Spotify going forward. The link will be below in the description. Or you can honestly just search Killstreaks and Kickoffs Podcast, and I think it should show up on Spotify if you just search that up there. So, yeah, we'll get that uploaded shortly after this onto Spotify. And then, of course, like I was mentioning, you can follow me everywhere else at lolrubix on pretty much everything. And, yeah, that's all I've got for you guys. So peace out, and I will see you guys in episode 3 next week. Take care. October firm in the cut. Stay at the top like I'm stuck. This time giving it up. She wanna get married tonight, but I can't take a knee 'cause I'm wearing all white.